Energized show, up the Irish.
Okay, what's going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Ross, introduce the guests, man.
Today we have two absolute gangsters coming out of Fight Academy Ireland. Two lads taking fights on short notice for Cage Warriors 145 over in London. It's Paddy McCorry and Sean McCormac. Lads, how are we doing?
Very good, lads. What's the crack?
Do very good, lads.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show is right. This is getting very exciting. Sean, when did you get the opportunity to fight on this card, and how excited are you to actually do it? Because this is one of the biggest cards of the year.
Yeah, I got the shout there on, I think it was Tuesday night. There were some rumours coming, and then Wednesday, a bit of back and forth, and then Thursday, the fight finally got announced. So happy to jump at it. You know, I've actually been getting ready for it. I knew with these shows, you know, there's always a pull out here and there. I thought Big Paddy had stole James Webb, another middleweight. I was like, fuck's sake, I missed that one. But then luckily, Open Elliott's opponent dropped out, and I got the shout and up there. So I'm looking forward to it.
And tell us this, Paddy, what about yourself? Obviously, going up against a former Cage Warriors middleweight champion. No hesitation stepping in?
No chance, mate. No, not at all. No hesitation for me. I couldn't have said yes any quicker. We're coming for all the smoke, mate. We're in the gym day in, day out, twice a day. We're not turning any fights down.
And Sean, just to ask yourself, do you have something against Wales, or is it just the way your career is playing out so far?
It's the way it's playing out, mate. It's just taking these short notice fights against these Welshmen. You know, another dragon to go over and slay. So I'm happy to do so.
Guys, do you? I'll start with yourself, Paddy. Do you think, like, going in on short notice, fighting such a seasoned vet and such a well-known name, Cage Warriors, do you think that like catapults you right up there to the top of the division? Yeah,
well, it all depends on how I beat him. You know what I mean? If I go in and put him away, then it kind of makes a statement. You know what I mean? But if I go and kind of grind a winner against him, then it wouldn't really be putting me in the top of the division. I'd still have to have a few more wins to get to the top of the division. But if I go and deal with him, how I'm planning on dealing with him, then it'll put me up to the top of the division, yeah. But I'm in no rush, you know what I mean? I'm still early on in my career. It's just a great opportunity, so why not take it, you know what I mean? I'm just coming off the fucking sofa, late notice, so the pressure's on him. He has to put me away, he has to beat me, doesn't he?
That's the way it looks, you know what I mean? He'll obviously be the favourite going into it, experience wise and stuff like that. You know, definitely on paper, but you know what happens. Fights don't play out on paper, so it'll be very interesting to see. And then obviously, Sean, for yourself, you know, Oban sort of grown up in Cage Warriors. Like this is where his entire fight career has nearly been. Any hesitation in jumping in there against him, or do you relish the chance?
I'll relish the chance, absolutely. You know, I think the biggest loss here would have been not taking this opportunity. I get into the sport for these moments, and this moment's presented itself. And like, I'm going to come over there and steal like all the hype that he's got off him. Fair play to him for taking the fight, coming up a weight class in the middleweight. But he'll learn very quick that was a mistake.
And then I'm going to go with yourself, Sean, because I know both you guys missed out on Cage Warriors Belfast. It was a homecoming, and I'm sure both you guys are very disappointed. But with the amount of Fight Academy Ireland guys on this card now, with Paul Hughes headlining, will this feel like a home court advantage when you step in the cage November 4th with the amount of people going over?
Definitely. There's a serious amount going over. I'm not sure how many, but I know there's a couple of hundred going over at least. And like, I'm sure, I know they were saying no flags in that arena, but I'm sure there'll be a few snuck in underneath the jerseys.
Absolutely.
Ross, we all have to wear different glasses, but Paddy, we obviously had you on before with Jordan O'Neill, and it was ahead of Belfast, and like obviously that fight fell off. Do you think this card is now an even bigger card, or do you think the Belfast card was a bigger card?
No, I think this is a bigger opportunity, mate. It's just God's timing, isn't it? Whenever that happened, I was absolutely disgusted. I was heartbroken, to be honest, and I was thinking I'm never going to get a bigger opportunity in this to make my Cage Warriors debut. And then here we are, you know what I mean? 0-2 against a former world champion. Like, whenever I go and put this guy away, it's going to be a much bigger statement than it would have been if I put that bum Jordan O'Neill away, you know what I mean?
I get you. And then, Sean, this is obviously going to be your second appearance in the Cage Warriors cage. You fought in Wales last time, and we had Oban on the show during the week, and he said he sized you up over in Wales. So, like, when you came across Oban, like, what did you think?
Just thought he was a lightweight walking around, to be honest. And then I realised he was fighting that big bag of bones in Matt Bonner. So I thought Matt Bonner looked a bit just worn out at the weigh-ins. I was like, flip, Bonner's going down to lightweight, but turned out he was going down to welterweight. But as I said, both of them just a small guy. Like, so if he's saying he's trying to size me up, I think that's hilarious. He'll soon feel my size when he gets in the cage with me.
Yeah, for the people not actually going over to the event, this event is live on UC Fight Pass as well. Sean, this is Paddy's debut in the Cage Warriors cage. What sort of advice would you know ahead of London?
Advice?
Yeah.
See, Paddy's like me. We both relish in these big moments. You know, that's when we both come alive. We like pressure makes diamonds to us. We've been putting the work in for years. I see this guy more than I see my family. You know what I mean? I'm sick of looking at him. So, man, I don't even need to give him advice. You know, all the advice we've been giving to each other back and forth over the years, just to go in, enjoy the moment, relish it, and put on a show.
Yeah, for the people that tuned in last time for Paddy's face-off with Jordan O'Neill, at the end of the show, Paddy made the show very viral by asking Jordan to put his fight purse on the line. And lads, we're just thinking now, will you two lads put your fight purse up against each other to see who gets to win the quickest?
Definitely not.
Me and Sean are going to go over and spunk his purse in about 2 hours after anyway.
That's
so
it. Yeah,
we'll
absolutely.
Purses anyway after.
Whoever gets the quickest win, the other person has to buy the other lad a point. There you go.
Yes, first rounds on the man, he gets the quickest win.
we call that the purse curse now anyway. Me and Garrett, we're not betting our purses anymore. We've tried to do it with 3 of our opponents, and all 3 of them have pulled out. So no more betting purses for me. Fuck that.
Guys, can I ask you a question? Despite your opponents having obviously a lot more experience, especially on the cage where you're seeing the new guys, is there a slight advantage for you guys that like their footage is so much more widely available? Like you could probably watch 6 or 7 James Webb fights, and Sean, you could probably watch 4 or 5 Oban fights. Is that an advantage to you guys that you have so much easy access to footage on them?
I don't really give a fuck about watching opponents, to be honest, mate. I just really leave that down to my coaches. I know my coaches have a great understanding of both of our opponents' games, and they're very knowledgeable. So we obviously train every area of mixed martial arts. If there's any holes in our game, it gets exposed in our gym. There's high level rounds one after another. If you're in any way not up to scratch in any area, you're going to get exposed. Like, you can't be training the Fight Academy Ireland 7 days a week and having holes in your game, at least at professional level anyway. Obviously, whenever you're amateur and it takes time to patch up all these holes in your game, but if you're a professional in our gym and you have a hole in your game, it's going to get fucking exposed every single day until you fix that up, you know what I mean? Me and Sean are perfect for each other. We're like very different styles, and if there's ever somewhere Sean isn't up to scratch, then trust me, I'm going to be using that to try and fucking get around in and sparring him. And it's the same with me. Like, if I go up and I'm one part of my game's off one day, Sean will make me fucking pay for it. So that's why it's so good being in a gym like Fight Academy Ireland, you know what I mean? I don't really be like, oh, I need to watch this guy, to watch that guy. Like, I'm constantly evolving as a mixed martial artist and trying to be the best fighter I can be. So the more experienced and the better these guys are, the better it is for us, because the more we can test ourselves against them, you know what I mean? See what works and see what doesn't.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's setting that higher bar, and now we have to rise up to that level, you know, of expectation. But like both of us we've been putting the work in for years. You know, that I only made my amateur debut 4 years ago, but you need to look, there was a lockdown in the middle of that and all as well. Like, we've been working in the shadows, and now when we get put out into the light, it's all going to show.
Yeah, exactly. Over that lockdown, we were up grafting. We closed the gap with a lot of people in that lockdown. A lot of people more experienced than us may have took some time off or slacked off in lockdown. We probably trained more in lockdown than we ever have. Yeah. We were fucking hours a day, just a small elite group working on ourselves, waiting for moments like this to roll around. Like, in the lockdown, we were up training twice a day, and we weren't able to have any fights, and no one really sees the work you're putting in, but they're going to see this week the work that we've put in.
Paddy, we obviously saw during the week you were training with Michael Conlon, like one of Ireland's best ever boxers. Like, what's it like training with Michael Conlon?
Yeah, just being around mains like that, mate, it just forces you to level up. Like, when I boxed, I used to box for St. John Bosco when I was a kid, and that's Michael Conlon, his dad was my coach. So whenever I was a kid, Mick Conlon used to beat the fuck out of me, and he'll tell you himself. whenever I was like 12, 13, 14, there used to probably be 3 or 4 of us at that age. And we would go in and do 10, 11, 12 rounds with Mick, like just swapping every round. And he would beat the fuck out of us. And I can remember at the time, his dad was always like, "This you'll thank us for this whenever you're older." At the time, I was like, "Fuck me, this is hectic." But now, when I'm older, I realize how beneficial it was, because you never really feel overwhelmed whenever people are attacking you or countering you. Whenever you're used to someone of mixed pedigree countering you and giving you headings from such a young age. So I've been fucking going on runs and trying to keep up with Mick for nearly a decade now, from I was a proper public. So he's just someone I've always looked up to. Like, in the area that I grew up in, there isn't much good role models, so to speak. There isn't really like anyone in our area with good things. Like, they're not really good role models, you know what I mean? They're not getting it the right way. But Mick was always someone who was doing his own thing and just down his own path and working hard. And then now, when you see where he is today and see that all that hard work's paid off, it's priceless to see someone like that from your own area doing great things, you know what I mean? All I can do is take inspiration from Mick, to be honest.
Yeah, shout out to Mick. He's been on the show before, and also he was rocking the Energized glasses a while ago, Roscoe. He must be taking fashion tips off you.
Yeah, he must be. He loves it. He's always energized, that fella.
Mick's the man.
He really is. What a man. Anytime I think of him, I just think of him giving the judges the fingers in the Olympics. Straight away, it's the first thing that comes to mind, and I love
it. Sean, first of all, we have to give your brother Gareth a massive shout out as well. He's an absolute top man. But also in the gym, Sean, like, you have the world champions, like Paul obviously competing in the main event against Jordan Vicenic, and also John McColgan. Like, what's it like training with these lads? Because obviously in the build up to Cage Warriors 145, Paul's been putting out these videos. They've been very in depth. Like, we all know how stoic he is. Like, what's it sort of like being around these lads and knowing that one day you want to reach that level?
Well, there's just having them around. They're great minds, as Paddy was saying there with Mick Conlon. Being around these people who are like steps ahead of you in the game. They're setting out a path to follow. But like, as Paddy will tell you, like, having Joe McColgan and Paul, especially Joe coming up to this fight, because Joe obviously isn't fighting.
Joe is the man. Joe's worth his weight.
Yeah, he's taking care of us. He's looking into the minor details. He's fixing the small things that need fixed. It's absolutely like unbelievable to have him. And like the gym itself, Pat and Shando, just putting in like hours and hours of work, that isn't seen, and they only get that small moment of glory as well after the fight, But and also all the other fellas in AFI, like that's an army up there, and it's just iron sharpens iron, constantly being the nail. Like me and Paddy, like two of the younger pros coming up now, but we're still being the nails every day in there. We give it out the other time too, but it's iron sharpens iron.
Having Joe around is like having a university professor just sitting constantly in your game, just giving you the knowledge that he's learned over the years. Like, I couldn't be more grateful for having Joe around, and it just fills you with confidence knowing you have someone there who's been there and done it, and someone who's so knowledgeable and smart. Like, everything that Joe does and says, like, he's not just a wee meathead tough guy who could have an old scrap or two. Like, Joe's a very clever man, and everything that he's saying to you, that he's fought through, and he's saying for a reason. And another guy in the gym who doesn't get too much of a mention is the lumberjack, Lucas. He's one of the main men also in the gym. Like, Lucas doesn't fight, but coming up to fight, Lucas is always up rounds in, always helping with the fighter circuits. Even before fights, whenever you're warming up, Lucas literally comes in cage conflicts, for example. Lucas will be there from the first fight to the last fight, and he'll warm up every single fighter, do rounds with every fighter, amateur right through the pro. Like, Lucas is just as a vital part of the puzzle in Fight Academy Ireland, but he doesn't get that much of a mention. So shout out to Lucas as well, the lumberjack.
Yeah, we actually said it before. There is something special with Fight Academy Ireland. But Baz always brings up when Joe won that belt and brought it back home, and that scenes when he came into the gym, like that must have been a very special moment, especially for someone like Joe who's fought so hard his entire career. And you're right, he is extraordinarily intelligent. Like, if you meet Joe and speak to him, and you didn't look at his ears, you'd probably be like, that fella's definitely not a fighter, Because he's a nice boy as well.
I actually got a funny story. Big Gareth, he's a firefighter, and he was on the machine, and he says Joe McCogan was strutting past. He had his wee backpack on and his wee shirt. He was going into work, and Gareth was like, "See that guy there?" He was saying to all the firefighters, he's like, "That guy there would fuck you up. Like, he's like one of the top fighters in the world." And every one of them was like, "No chance, mate. That guy looks like a nerd."
Lads, we also want to give a shout out to Troy Gibson as well, and we're hoping to see him on a Cage Warriors card soon. Ross, the amount of Irish talent that's coming into Cage Warriors now, surely there's going to be a few Cage Warriors Irish events next year, yeah?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think Belfast was only the start. I think Graham tried to target 2 for this year. It didn't really work out in his favour. I think Dublin's hard for venues at times, and I think that's where there's an issue in getting a Dublin venue. But I guarantee that they'll probably be back in Belfast again next year, especially with all the Fight Academy Ireland talent. I think the Cage Warriors guys do a great job of targeting certain gyms, and they're like, right, let's get the top talent out of these gyms, and it really creates a sort of funnel for new talent to come through. And it also gives fighters a chance to be like, right, well, if I want to go to fight in the UFC, I can go through Cage Warriors, and these are the gyms that are getting the Cage Warriors fighters on. And it creates that great opportunity for these guys who want to start out doing mixed martial arts on how to get the journey to the UFC.
Like Joe and Paul have just kicked in the door for us now. Like them going and winning the Cage Warriors world title, like the much good energy and belief that's just passed down through the gym. Like, see now that they've kicked in the door for us, there's going to be waves of us coming through. Like, me and Sean are obviously next in line, and we've been busting our balls for years now, and we're just about to get our opportunity. But as you say, Troy's coming. Troy is an absolute stud, and then Smiley, Jared Burns as well. Like, wait till he gets a hold of a couple of these top European flyweights, and you'll see the level of Smiley as well. And then we don't even need to mention any amateurs like Kieran Coogan. You all know the crack with the amateurs and the younger guys, but Joe and Paul have basically paved the way for us now, and now everyone's starting to believe that they can do it. You know what I mean? All you need to do is show up to the gym. All areas in our gym are getting covered, so if you show up and you're there twice a day putting the graft in, the fucking pathway's there for you now. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, I suppose if you're a young man around the Belfast area, get yourself into Fight Academy Ireland, because you won't regret it. Even if you don't want to fight, I mean, it's great to just learn a bit of self-defense. And Patrick McAllister and Shando, they'll look after you up there as well. 2 absolute staples of the Irish MMA game. There's probably not an event going down in Ireland where you won't see one of the 2 boys at least at it. So shout out to the lads there as well.
Yeah, shout out to the lads.
Without them 2, we're fuck all. Like, there's nothing in Belfast. There is no MMA scene in Belfast without Pat McCoster, Liam Shannon. Like, they are the much hours that they put in, you literally leave. Like,
absolutely. Guys, before we wrap things up, we'll start with yourself, Sean. How did things go November 4th? How do you get your hand raised?
I think I just go in, assert my dominance, and I'm just going to bring it to him, mate. I've got nothing to lose in this fight. Like, I'm going out there for a good scrap, put on a performance. And I know he's going to bring it too. He is the Welsh gangster for a reason. He likes to come out for a scrap. But I think, it could be confidence, but I see it as arrogance. He's coming up in the middleweight. He's going to feel my leather. And I'm going to put him out in the first round.
Lovely. Paddy, how did you get the job done November 4th?
I finished James Webb on November 4th. He's already had his crack at the whip. It's my turn now.
And question, do you have any tickets left, lads, before we plug them for you?
I have no tickets.
There's not a ticket left. You have to get them on the black market. That's how popular this event is.
Yes, lads, thank you very much for having us on.
No, thanks a million, lads, for joining us. For people tuning in, make sure to check out Cage Warriors 145 London on November 4th, live on UC Fight Pass. Ross, take us away, bud.
Guys, thanks a million for coming on. Really appreciate your time. Looking forward to seeing you live in person on November 4th, Cage Warriors 145. If you've been watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification to catch all the Energized content. And as always, stay energized.
Up the fucking mob.
Energized show, up the Irish. Been sussing you guys a couple of times. I've seen a couple of clips. I think you've done some interviews with Dylan Moran and that I saw. So keep going, keep up the good work, guys.